Kent County can access that fund. Once the dollars are gone, they're gone. But we want to make sure that if you are interested in having that conversation, that we can connect you to that program. There was also an additional $5 million at the state that was allocated for the exact same thing. And so those dollars are also first come, first served. There's a bit more competition for that, given that it's statewide. But we're happy to support in an application for that as well. So again, there's state and local resources, grant dollars, if you're looking to make some of those changes for your community. Outside of that, we also have the local tool, the gap financing from Kent County, the revolving loan fund, that will be an opportunity for folks. So that offers low cost of capital for development. Both for-profit and nonprofit developers can access that fund. It can be used for new construction and preservation. So when you look at your aging housing stock, that's an opportunity as well. And that loan fund can offer capital as low as 4%. We're upwards of 7 or 8% when we look at traditional lending. So that's a really big deal as far as, again, keeping things affordable without additional subsidy. We do have some additional state tools that were passed as well. You may have heard that now tax increment financing, TIF, can be used for all residential development. It does not have to be blighted property, obsolete property, contaminated property. But again, that's something that at the local level you would have to approve and say, housing is a priority for us. That's something that we want to use as a tool. We do have developers who are excited about that because it does allow for more affordable housing options. So those are some things that I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of. The last that I'll share is a grant opportunity through MSHDA. We are serving as the statewide housing plan partner for West Michigan, Region F. That includes Kent County. There's a $13 million allocation of grant funds that are coming to West Michigan, the largest in the state, for, again, new construction and preservation. Those are dollars that would go directly to developers, but as folks come to you and want to have conversations about making their pro formas work out, allowing for more affordable, more attainable housing, those are grant programs, or that is a grant program that you can share either through us as a resource, or you can direct them to MSHDA directly, but we're happy to be a resource for that. So wanted to just kind of share some of those tools broadly, but again, at a very high level, and I'm happy to take questions too, but at a very high level, what we have here in the community is we have two very large demographics of people. We have boomers and we have millennials, and they're both looking for the same kind of thing, right? And it's something that Lowell offers and can offer a lot more of. Which is walkable, amenity-rich neighborhoods, right? They're looking for smaller lots, smaller unit, and that could be for different reasons, right? But a lot of it comes down to price. A lot of it comes down to they don't want to spend their entire Saturdays mowing. And so you have some preferences in the market that are really aligning around the need for more housing in general and also more affordable housing. The challenge that we continue to see, though, is that our boomers who want to downsize, it doesn't make any financial sense for them to do so. And so they're staying in their large single family home, even though they would prefer to have a smaller option or a different option. And therefore, we're not having that mobility in the market. And so we're needing to subsidize and construct more. And so we really do need more diversity of housing across Kent County, across the region. And thankfully, we have the resources kind of coming in and being considered that we didn't have a few years ago, but it is going to take a lot of work to get there. One of the things that we have really focused our energy on this year is looking at scalable solutions. And so while we will still show up project by project and try to make sure that it works to include levels of affordability and those types of things, we're really looking at how we utilize where infrastructure already exists on your key corridors. Where there's access to sewer and water and infrastructure, transit oftentimes, and see how we can make zoning changes there, use the tools that we just talked about there to ensure that we're being really efficient and effective with where we're putting our new housing. And so those are opportunities that we'd love to work with you on, drawing up those plans, helping you to identify how many units might make sense. Again, where you already have those things so that you can increase hopefully the revenues that are coming in through property taxes, but not see a greater increase in infrastructure and things as you move forward. So those are all things that we can support you on. We're here as a resource. Happy to take any questions, super high level, but it's because if I keep talking, I'll go really, really long, and I know it's already kind of late. So love to just get to any questions you may have.
just so you know, like one of the advantages we obviously have in the city of Lowell, the whole city's a brownfield authority. So that's a major incentive for us as we move forward. If we start putting a plan together, they're going to be coming to the DDA on Thursday, who serves our brownfield authority, to talk about that with them, and then they're going to be coming to the planning commission next Monday to talk about how, as we're out doing our master plan updates and so forth, how we can try and work through zoning to try and tackle some of these needs. So yeah, we're just kind of a starting point. We recognize it's obviously an issue and want to start looking at it a little bit more in depth.
Question?
I have one. I see a lot of these small, like boxable, these more easily set up, smaller units. Can you tell us, is the entire country accepting that type of smaller units? Can you just speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, great question. So we're seeing a large shift towards accessory dwelling units as an option, and those can come in a variety of different forms. I think what you're referring to is modular, you know, kind of the smaller, not stick-built. And those are things that a lot of folks are considering, a lot of townships and municipalities are interested in, but that's not, they're really looking at what are we willing to allow in general from a size perspective, right? So one of the things that we like to talk about, so I currently live in a 1,000 square foot home, which in many conversations I've been in, people refer to it as a tiny home. It's just an 100-year-old home. It is 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and we fit just fine and we love it very much. So I think it's just helping people to understand that smaller does not mean that it's crazy different. It just was constructed in a time when we also had housing challenges, right? And so helping them to kind of understand that this isn't all new. We've done this in the past, and people in our most loved, most historic parts of towns are living in that kind of small unit feel. Has really helped people to understand and digest the need for it. I think people are still trying to figure out exactly what they want in their community, what they're willing to have from a characteristic perspective. But yes, we're seeing a large uptick in folks looking for those more innovative solutions, especially when it increases overall affordability with costs continuing to rise.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for the question.
Good, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Take your police cruiser.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm here asking for another police car.
Good.
What's that?
It's an annual event.
Yeah.
This is the last one. We don't come back for 4 years.
I did see a typo. I don't know how I didn't catch it. On the memo, it says we'd like to purchase a 2024 police cruiser. It's actually a 25. So we are going with pretty much the same cars we bought before. We looked into the hybrid version. They're a little more expensive, about $5,000 more to buy that car. But I've got an officer who's a kind of a motorhead, and he did some research on the hybrids, and he's found out that that the hybrids are starting to have problems. They're noticing problems now that they've had them around for a few years. At about 50,000 miles, they're starting to have transmission and other battery problems. They're also, the hybrid version is a lot harder to get a hold of because of the specialty parts and batteries are hard to find. That's why it took so long to get our second hybrid car. It took nearly 6 to 8 months to get it once we ordered it. I understand this is not the budget year yet, and what I'm coming to the council to ask for is to request permission to order the 2025 police car. We would not accept the police car until after July 1st, or would we pay for it until that time? I've talked to the Bill Cunningham, who's the guy that we've dealt with before on these cars from Lunghammer Ford now. And he said that Ford can definitely do that. We can order the car and not accept it until after the new budget year starts. In fact, the car that we had on order still hasn't been built yet, and we ended up finding a car similar to this, or just like the cars we have now, and Vanderhyde Ford County, Department of North had ordered a car, didn't want it. We're still waiting for our car, because it was a hybrid, the last car we ordered, and so we will take it. So that's why so we'll have 2 hybrids and 2 gas-powered vehicles. And been looking at the gas mileage. There is a little bit, you get better gas mileage with a hybrid, but I've been driving a new car back and forth to my house just to get miles on it because it's recommended by Ford that we put at least 1,000 miles on it before we make it a cruiser and then we start, using it hard. So I'm seeing about, I think it's on the highway, it's getting around 20 miles to the gallon. Now it's going to get a lot less in the city because we're only driving 35, 45 miles an hour. So there will be a little bit of an increase in fuel because we'll still have the 2 hybrids and we'll have the 2 gas-powered ones. Hopefully in the future, the hybrids will correct those problems that they're finding. We did shop around for other cars, the Tahoe, the Turbo EcoBoost Ford, and the Durango. But the Durango they're not going to make anymore. The Tahoe was found to have they eat brakes, I guess, and use a lot more oil than the Fords do. So I didn't include this in the packet, but I'll make copies if you'd like to read it. It's just from our officer Brian Rader, who did the research. So we're asking to order the 2025 Cruiser with the extended warranties, 100,000 mile coverage on the car. The Ford's quoted us a price of $49,017 for the police car, and then we would get upfitted with all the computer stand, the computer, the lights, all that stuff, through Crouch Communications out of Saranac for another $15,057.50 for a total cost of $64,074.50 once we take possession of the car. Like I said, we are not asking to spend that money right now. We're just asking to order the car, and so we get it on, and we'll pay for it once we get it. And then we'll order the upfitting parts after July 1st also.
Question?
Taking a risk, he hopes you have to approve his budget.
Roll dice.
I have one, as I studied the previous car that you just purchased and then this new car.
Yes.
They're 2 different dealers and then the upfitters are different. How do you choose? And
Well,
do you have to go out for bids, I guess?
Yeah, we did send out bids for the outfitting. We sent a bid out to Procom, which is out of Mount Pleasant. Great Lakes Outfitting, which we do not want to go with anymore because of some personnel problems there. Crouch Communication, the reason I didn't realize that they did outfitting until the guy that worked that we had a lot of contact with from Great Lakes went to Crouch Communication. And when I talked to him, he goes, "Oh yeah, we do outfitting." I thought it was only radios. He says, "No, we do that too." So because they're local, because we know the guy, and he's wired up the last 3 cars we've had, all our cars will be exactly the same as far as the wiring goes. If you look at our cars, there's a cabinet at the back. You fold down, and everything's laid out in a certain way that he does. So we decided to go with Crouch Communication because it'll be consistent work. He won't be fixing someone else's stuff, or someone else will be fixing his stuff if it breaks down.
And the prices are comparable?
Yes, yep, they're within a few $1,000s of each other. Yep.
Good.
And they're local.
And they're local.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? Motion to let Chief Campbell.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it. Any other discussion? Sue?
Mayor DeVore,
Yes.
Councilmember Salzweedl,
Yes.
Councilmember Barkus,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
and Councilmember Groves.
Yes. All right. Mike?
Yep. The Lower Grand River Organization of Watersheds, also known as LGRO, an agency of the Grand Valley Metro Council, has been working towards the state designation of the Lower Grand River Water Trail. As part of their application process, they need memorandums of understanding with all municipalities along the river, and as part of this, they would partner to do the following: promote the Lower Grand River Water Trail, including all access sites, as a recreational destination for canoeing, kayaking, and other water-based activities, developing and implementing educational programs and events related to the Lower Grand River Water Trail and the access sites, providing information and technical assistance to the access site owners for the development and improvement of access sites, facilitating communication between the access site owners and other stakeholders involved in the Lower Grand River Water Trail. Our responsibilities would include the following: maintain the access site in a safe and usable condition for the public, comply with all applicable laws, regulations, and permit requirements related to the access site, allow Algro to include the access site for their purposes of promoting and managing the Lower Grand River Water Trail, inform Algro of any changes to the access site or its management. And Algro's responsibilities would include the access site promotional and informational materials related to the trail, provide technical assistance and support to the access site owners for the improvement and maintenance of the access site, advise the access site owner of any relevant laws, regulations, or best practices related to the access site, facilitate communication between the access site owner and other stakeholders involved in the Lower Grand River Water Trail. I recommend the Lowell City Council approve the memorandum of understanding with the Lower Grand River Water Trail as presented.
All right, any questions for Mike?
Just recap, how long does that trail go from where to where?
My understanding goes from Lake Michigan to,
Till the dead end or something?
till, I believe just past Ionia, I think. But, because the Algro, the Grand Valley Metro Council area goes from Lake Michigan to, I believe Ionia is the end of where their MPO, our MPO is. So.
I couldn't quite recall where.
Yeah, I believe, I can find out.
No,
But that's my understanding.
All right, any other questions? Motion to approve the MOU.
I'll make that motion.
Discussion. Sue?
Councilmember Salzweedl,
Yes.
Councilmember Vargas,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Groves,
Yes.
and Mayor DeVore.
Yes. All right, sanitary sewer, Rich.
Okay. As you see in your communication, we have a number of roads that are up for resurfacing this year. And as part of our advanced due diligence, we want to ask City Council to approve an amendment to an agreement, excuse me, with Plumbers Environmental and Environment Center to do some sewer and storm sewer televising and inspection. Doing this will actually help us identify problems in advance of paving and help to preserve the road so that we have a street that doesn't have cuts in it right after we pave it. This is an unbudgeted activity, but we do have funds available. We've projected out the funding sources for the rest of the year. And there's funds available in our wastewater collection contractual and our local street maintenance contractual funds. And so what we're asking for you tonight to do is to approve that amendment to the agreement, part of the service contract with Plumbers Environmental in the amount of $10,779.75. Incidentally, we're also doing the same thing with the lead and copper. Any lead water service lines we identify, we're going to try to get those replaced in advance of paving as well. Again, to try to end up with the best finished product on our local streets as well.
Yes.
So these are roads we didn't do when we did the camera work before we started repairing roads.
Everything should have been done under saw. I mean, we televised everything under saw, but I think they just want to get back into it.
Yeah, we just
And see if it's changed over that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of, I mean, from what I recall, the original areas that needed spot repairs, these weren't in that. But they are just trying to double check just to make sure.
All right, any other questions for Rich? All right, motion to approve the Plumbers Environmental Services contract.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Any discussion? Sue?
Councilmember Vargas,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Groves,
Yes.
Mayor DeVore,
Yes.
Councilmember Salzweedl.
Yes.
All right, public hearing.
Yep.
Dave, we gotta set that for,
Yeah, for the next council meeting. So King Milling, back in 2019, before we changed the policy for TIFs, we were granted a 5-year industrial facility tax credit for the expansion, for creation of the warehouse. They're coming back for the remaining portion of the time. So public hearing would be on February 19th to consider that.
okay. All right, motion then for resolution 224 to set the public hearing for our next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support. Any discussion? Sue?
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Groves,
Yes.
Mayor DeVore,
Yes.
Councilmember Salzweedl,
Yes.
and Councilmember Vargas.
Yes.
All right, board and commission reports. Eric?
I missed the historic board because I attended the PFAS meeting, which was time well spent. But going from minutes of the historic board, the only item was Brent Slagle is working on the Larkins restaurant, and he's been working on that for some time now. He first asked the MEDC, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, for help in turning that into a boutique hotel, and I guess that didn't go completely well, and so he has resubmitted his request to MEDC to change that to retail on the first floor and apartments on the second floor. He's looking to replace the windows, the doors, and to soda blast all of the brick for Larkins. So that's in MEDC's camp there. That was the only item for the historic building.
Okay. Jim?
LCT fund request will be closed this Thursday at 5:30 here at City Hall. So if you haven't got your request for funding, please get that in. And then we'll be meeting on Saturday, the 24th of February to discuss who's going to receive those funds. And other than that, I got 4 meetings next week.
Yeah. Mark?
He's not having your meeting in a career.
All year.
All year. No, I have planning next week, Monday, and I have Thursday off, so I'll be attending DDA to give everybody grief. So I'll hear her speech 3 times. So if I fall asleep, please forgive me, okay?
I'll try to change it up.
Thank you.
I'll be at DDA Monday, getting ready to throw him out, and the fire authority is the 15th. So I have nothing else.
It's Thursday, it's not Monday.
Oh, no, planning I'm going to.
Oh,
Monday.
you got
Yeah,
thrown
you're
in.
right. All right, Mike, manager's report.
I want to address a couple issues. First one I want to address is the audit, just to kind of get some better clarification as to the loss. So there were really 3 issues that kind of caused it. The first 2 were non-cash losses, which were depreciation and the MERS. So I'm going to kind of explain that. So as Perry did explain, the depreciation is really the loss of value in your fixed assets annually as they deteriorate. This year, the water and sewer funds depreciation was $271,637 from both funds. And as I stated, they're not cash losses. In theory, you should be making up the depreciation loss in fixed asset replacement or capital improvement every year. You recently spent $3.5 million to replace assets in Monroe. And we have made significant amount of replacements in our system in the last few years, and we're going to continue to. Obviously, your rates are going to be impacted by that, because the fact of the matter is we have an older system that needs to be replaced. So there's a lot of issues that have to happen, but we are addressing them. And the good news is, time evolves, the depreciation percentages will go down. So we are working on that, and we've been working on that. The MERS and OPEB issue. There's a couple issues. So we have a total of $364,303 of the utility funds for that portion of the loss for both OPEB and MERS. This year, we had a significant loss, at least in the audited end. We had a significant loss in our investment in MERS. I believe it was about $1.2 million. However, the way MERS calculates that, one, MERS's period of time is January 1 to December 31st, where ours is July 1 to June 30. That year, the stock market did not do well. The last 6 months of the year, it has made improvements. So it'll be interesting to see what MERS is actuarial, because I look at the MERS actuarial. This in regards to percent funded and how we operate off of MERS actuarial is. And we've done a few things to address a lot of that. As you recall, a few years ago, we re-amortized basically the unfunded liability. We're paying what we would be paying regardless. We're not paying the lesser amount. And we've also made significant, we've used, anytime we had cash influxes with fund balance, we've made that payment to MERS to address it. So we'll continue to do that as it happens. In regards to OPEB is not, we are required by law to show our OPEB liability. When you look at it on paper, it looks really bad. However, it is a pay-as-you-go. And we have literally, so we pay, the way our retirement health care is, we provide 5 years of health care up to age 65. For and any employee hired after September 6, 2016, that doesn't happen anymore. So that liability going forward is going away. And we've also, for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been pre-funding OPEB. So there's money set aside to address a lot of these issues. However, they have to show it on the liability in an audit. And then lastly, the big one, the big cash one was line pond excavation. I talked to Peter about this today. It was about $293,000. We had to do that. We do it once every 5 years. Had we just budgeted $60,000 every year, it would only been a $50,000 loss. But because of it, it was $293,000 this year because we just used cash to take care of the transaction. So obviously it kind of was like a perfect storm this year, but next year we could actually have a $700,000 gain. I mean, it fluctuates from year to year. It just depends. If we have a really good year in the stock market, that loss becomes a gain. So it's something that ebbs and flows over time. Is it something we're watching? We always watch our revenues, and to say we're not is just not true. Am I concerned that the sky is falling over this? No. So I want to address that.
One question regarding
Sure.
this. Could there have been an easier way to present that to us other than finding out at the audit time? Did you not see this throughout the year? Or
I don't see it. I don't see it till the
now?
audit. I don't see it till the audit. I don't see it till the audit.
Yeah, because I mean, if we could have heard maybe 5 months ago, hey, it's trending this way, it's going this way. So
I never see that stuff till the audit. I mean, I honestly don't, and because it's all done at audit time, so I don't see it. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't even think about the cash expense until he brought it up today. But yeah, I know there was there were some council members that wanted me to look into this more, so I did. That's the explanation I have. I do want to respond to the issue pertaining to the billing. Yeah, it happened. I found out about it today. Unfortunately, the person. So one of the issues we have with the systems the billing systems between Light and Power and the city is that the systems don't talk. So everything has to be manually transferred over from either Light and Power to the city and vice versa. There's times, I mean, we missed a payment. There's times that they miss payments as well. It does happen from time to time. We're trying to look at internal things to try and address that human error, but unfortunately, sometimes, I hate to say it, we have a small staff. There's tons of emails that come in. There's tons of things that come in. Unfortunately, it got missed. And the worst part is the person who, when this happened, they were on vacation for 11 days, so it didn't get fixed until we found out about it today. So we do know about it. Our staff is looking at it. They're not, I know there might be a feeling that some of them were incompetent. They're not. I'm going to defend my staff. It was an error. Continuing on, give some good news. The first one is Ware Road. We've now done 3 sampling with tests. We've tested 39, as of last week, we tested 39 wells. There have been no detections for PFAS in any of them. So that's a positive news. Also, obviously received word last week that the Alden Nash project received $17.5 million for the wastewater expansion. Good news is, well, we estimate that's about 50% of the cost. There's still, the good news is obviously I would say in the last 2 weeks we met with the township. I think the last 2 weeks have probably been the most positive than the last 5 years on the issue.
Yeah.
So we are working on it. There was a public meeting. There were public meetings last week, Wednesday and Thursday. I attended the meeting Thursday night. I'll attend. There's one Wednesday morning, I believe, from 9 to noon. I think the developer's doing a very good job explaining what this is. Obviously, there's concern and skepticism and all that, and we get that. I can't really tell you much at this point because I haven't even received the terms of what the funding is. So there's a lot of things there's a lot of moving parts to this, and we're working on it. I did a podcast with former Councilman Yankovic. The first day, there were 4,000 hits on the podcast. It could be good or bad, I don't know, but it was, you know, it was plastered quite a bit in the ledger this week. So actually, you know, Cliff does a really good job with it and actually had fun. Sounds like I've been invited back multiple times now for it after talking with Cliff and John.
He misses you.
He does miss you.
I think he probably does. We talked a lot about paintings. And then lastly, one thing I picked up on, Eric being new to council asked a lot of questions. That's a lot of questions. And I have no problem with it because I can, you know, I hope I'm answering them for him. And they're, you know, they're good questions and they're, you know, and they honestly keep me on my toes. But he gave me something. He gave me I don't think you realize this, but when you gave me the taxable values and the bonding information,
Yes?
I looked at that, and something jumped out at me. I came here in 2016. You know, basically, I think the first council member here was in 2016, and, you know, we're 8 years in now. We have seen, in that 8-year period, we have seen a 50% increase in taxable value in the city. I don't know of a city in the state of Michigan. I have to go look at this, because I'm now interested to see what other communities have seen that amount in that period of time. I know my former community, as you all know, had significant investment about 5-10 years ago. I don't even think they've seen 50%. Now, granted, the DDA is getting probably 80% of that, but it's still a significant. We are still the second lowest taxable value in Kent County. We're Cedar Springs is the lowest. We're the second. We're still about halfway. We're halfway between Rockford, but we're getting there. We could eventually beat Rockford. That's my goal now. And so I think we should all be proud of that, because I think that's something that I think everyone here should be proud of. That's a feather in a cap, because people are making investments in this community. Granted, there's obviously been some argument about some of that investment, but if you look on paper, it's very significant. You're obviously seeing it, because one of the big things you're seeing is the number of streets that we have planned. We have a lot of streets planned this summer. One of them, granted, is a water and sewer project. Washington will be going out for bid this week. So that's all I have.
Good. I wish I would have known about that before the election. Appointments, you've talked to Sue, right?
Yeah, I just forwarded you her email.
Okay.
But yeah, she's in for.
Susan and Teresa on parks will continue. And Eric is going to be the council representative to Lara. So Perry doesn't get mad at me. And then we'll talk to Bruce one day at planning. And that should be it, except for the resignation. So, council comments. RG.
Oh, I do know what that means. Nothing.
Okay, Marty.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
The museum does a really good job, and I'm proud to say that in my store, they allowed me to hang the Robert E. Lee sign that was on the back of the boat. The ABCs of Lowell and the calendars and stuff, we do sell them for them. We make no money on them. We sell them for $10 a piece cash, and all the money goes directly to them. It's a good revenue source for the museum, and they, like I said, they do a phenomenal job. So if you don't have one, get one. I know they have them at the museum. We have them at 217 West Main. Pick them up, because they're really good reading. And the background scenes are fun with a magnifying glass to look at what's going on in the back of the picture. So that's all I got.
Jim.
I'm good.
Eric.
I've got 3 things. First of all, I have had a lot of questions in my first 6 weeks, and I've submitted questions to Mike on a regular basis, sometimes Sunday nights, sometimes Saturday mornings. Mike has been phenomenal about replying to me. Just today, he called me. We spoke for 30 minutes over lunch and answered every one of my questions. And so I just want to convey that we are looking out for your best interests, number one. We are studying things, especially Mike. He is studying the city very well, doing an excellent job. All of us are being very careful. We can't talk among ourselves, except in the open meeting, so I really don't talk with the other members, but I do talk with Mike, and he has done a very good job of being patient and helping new council members and helping the city, first of all. I really enjoyed his ledger article. I hope you read that on the back of the ledger this week about the city, and that was very interesting. And then lastly, if you have questions, as the citizens have questions, please send them to us, and we, one way or another, we will get them answered. We all have emails, and any of us will take your questions, and if you're not comfortable with the podium, which most people aren't, just email us. So, thank you.
You think he's great, wait till you get his bill. I don't have nothing, Jim.
You had nothing?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:24.
I'll
All
support it.
right, good. Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?